And so the minute that we have buffalo anywhere near the team, we're afraid you're back in the vehicles and we have to move out of there. But if it's lion or rhino or leopard or anything else, you're going to be out there working with an armed guard, quantifying the damage. So it's an exciting time. It's a really useful piece of work you're doing. You can go diving there as well, and if anyone wants exciting diving, then the best place to go is East Africa, without a doubt. Simply, well, for two reasons. One is you can't get in the water like you can in the Caribbean. So if you go to Cuba, you just get in the boat, took out to the boat and dive. Dead easy. Here, you've got to pull your boat into the water because there are massive breakers coming in all the time. And this is a group coming back again. And the way they do it is, it's a big rib, they call them, 12 people in it, you've got a captain and so forth. And as he comes back, he opens both engines flat out. And he pointed at the beach. He said, put your feet in the stirrups, hold on. And you think he's bluffing the first time he does this, but he isn't. He comes out over the top of the waves, and then straight up the beach. Have you seen that James Bond movie? You know where the boat comes out, goes, and then back in, it was just like that. And that's exactly how you get in and out of the water each time. But this is the site where you're going to see the big megafauna, the whale sharks, the manta rays, the whales as well. Let's look at the bigger ones now. These are the, this is Indonesia. You have a whole series of courses you can do, one of which is canopy access. You might have seen some of the David Attenborough films where he's hoisted up into the canopy. Well, that team is the one that's out there, and they can train you how to do it. It's not done by free climbing, it's all done by pulley systems and ropes and so forth. And if you are certifiably insane, you're allowed to stay up there overnight in a hammock. But you've got to be strapped in. You're completely strapped in, so do remember to go to the bathroom before you go. But if you're lying there and you're lying in your hammock, you're going to wake up in the canopy, which is an astounding experience, because that's where the life is in a tropical rainforest. But if you don't like heights, for goodness sake, don't do it. You're going to be 40 meters off the ground at that point. But the forests of Indonesia are really spectacular. You've probably heard of a guy called Alfred Russel Wallace, who was the co-originator of the theory of evolution by natural selection, but he's also the father of biogeography. And he noticed that if he went from the island of Bali across to Lombok, and you could swim that distance, you got a massive change of species. But if you went from Bali back to Java, the same distance, no change at all. The same happened between Borneo and what we call Sulawesi. Huge change. Borneo back to Sumatra, virtually no change at all. And what he surmised was there's a set of islands in the middle part of Indonesia that's got a deep ocean trench that surrounds them all. So when the sea levels drop, as they do during the ice ages, then the islands either side get joined onto big continental landmasses. And so you ended up with tigers, for example, that got as far as Bali, that was joined onto Asia. But it never got over that border into Lombok. And you got, when the sea levels went up, you ended up with strange distributions of species like orangutans in Borneo and Sumatra. And on the other side, you ended up with tree kangaroos in Irian Jaya, because that used to be joined onto Australasia. But the bit in the middle, it wasn't. And so it formed its own species. And 90% of the mammals you find in this area are endemic just to that area. Size for size, this is as endemic rich as Madagascar. And it has a huge advantage over Madagascar. In that lots of scientists go to Madagascar because they know it's endemic rich. We've had only a handful of scientists here. We've discovered 21 vertebrate species new to science, including this primate here, this tarsier. But we now think 22, because this was one of the skink species we found this year, a blue-tailed skink. Hasn't yet been identified, so it could well turn out to be the 22nd species new to science. If you don't like snakes, though, probably don't come to this site, because remember I said cats never got across the border? Well, no, the top mammals, the top predators are not mammals at all, they're reptiles. And so you have some snakes there that are absolutely ginormous. The world's biggest snake ever was caught in Sulawesi. It was a 10-meter reticulated python that's probably not far off the width of this lecture theatre, and this round. And you'll see 5 to 6 metre ones. You won't believe the size of some of the monitor lizards, the size of this desk. And you can have frogs there that are nearly a kilo in weight. So a very strange set of forests. And if you want to, before I go on to this, where are the most biologically diverse reef systems in the world? If you really want the best diving anywhere, where is it? No, that's a fantastic marketing success, but it's not actually true. The best reefs are in a place called the Coral Triangle, which is an area that has the highest diversity of hard coral genera. Hard corals building lots of reefs, genera, groups of species. Veron, who's the sort of world expert on corals, has produced a map showing diversity across the whole of the world, the most diverse site is actually in this part of Indonesia. If you go here, you're diving slap bang in the middle of what's called the Coral Triangle. Of course, as you move away from that area, it gets less and less diverse until you end up in the Caribbean, which are the least diverse reef systems on the planet. Now, Honduras, this is cloud forest stuff. This is where, if you're interested in DNA extraction, we have a DNA lab here. This is where we run the expedition medicine course from. And we have lots and lots of scientists here working under the canopy. And so we've discovered so far 9 amphibian species new to science. So these are small mountain-top cloud forest communities that are only found in the park, nowhere else in the world. And we've got a disease called chytrid fungus. We've heard of chytrid fungus, but it's causing amphibian declines worldwide. And we've got it inside the park. So we have a whole series of researchers looking at transmission routes, looking at sizes of these populations, looking at whether there's genetic relationships between them. This is the Charlie's Angels electrofishing team. That was pictured in Indonesia, and there's a team from Virginia Tech going down to do the first electrofishing surveys ever in these rivers at the top end of the cloud forest. So chances are they're going to come across something new to science. But it's a really exciting place to go, and you've got 2 different marine sites there, one with mangroves, one without, and a whole range of different projects. So if you're heading for med school, just think about this one, because you can still go to Honduras, do all of that, but get a medical qualification. We start you off, whatever you're doing in Honduras, we start you off with the jungle training course. That takes you half a week to learn the skills, and then the other half we put you on a DNA course, teach you how to extract DNA in the field and how to multiply it up. Then for your next week, you go on an expedition medicine course that was written by one of the senior registrars at the top London hospital. And he basically lectures that, and he teaches you about envenomation from snakes and how you deal with it, what you do with trauma, how you suture people, what you do about things like rabies and malaria and dengue fever, how do you staff a remote expedition, how do you organise evacuation, all that sort of thing. And then you get signed off at the end of that, it's tested, and you get marked on it and so forth, and then you can use that when you're applying to medical school, because it makes you stand out from the rest. For your 3rd week, we then send you into one of the really remote camps where you're shadowing a doctor. And most of the time the doctor doesn't do anything, medical I mean, and so the idea is that you then join the biodiversity surveys when you're not working on that. And then for your last week, we put you through a hyperbaric medicine course and also teach you to dive if you want to, and you go out to the marine sites for that. So really useful. If you're going for medical school, it makes you stand out from the rest of the students. Have we got anybody in their junior year? We've got 1 or 2 in biology here, or environmental science? No? Okay. Well, I won't linger too long on this subject then, but we have a whole series. The other way of joining is to join to gather data for your own independent research project. And the way it works is we have 120 different topics you can choose from, and you choose one of those, and we then send you details of our academic who's going to be supporting that in the field, and you find an academic here. And then you have to write your own research plan. What question you're going to ask, why are you asking it, what methods you're going to use, what equipment do you need, what about the risk assessment. And you do that in an iterative process, so by April next year, if you're going out to do a project, you know what you're doing. And in the field, we have a double level of supervision. You have a specialist that you work with on a daily basis, and then on a weekly basis, you have to report back to a senior scientist at that site, who's a statistician, project design guy. You have to stay on site for 6 weeks, and you have to give a research presentation to all the other staff and students before you leave on the results of your work. Now, using that technique, 90% plus of the students get a 1st or a 2-1. We've won prizes at all of these universities. In fact, this last year, we won the best biogeography prize in the whole of the UK from one of the Cambridge students. It was awarded by the Royal Geographical Society. So the reason it's so successful is because there's so many scientists there. So that you've got a lot of academic support on site to help you with your projects. I'm not going to go through all of these, there's way too many of them to talk about. How are we doing for time? Yeah, we're getting close to time, so I'm going to cut it short at this point, but you can see all of these different topics you can choose from. You've got in front of you sheets. If you are not going to be doing an independent research project, what you try to do is on those sheets, you can identify 1 or 2, please don't put too many, otherwise my emails to you are immense, of the countries that are most interested to you. If you're interested in doing an independent research project, then tick the types of topics like genetics or fisheries or reef ecology that you're interested in doing. So I've just finished there. What we're going to do is, I presume you're all fabulously wealthy, are you? You're all wealthy? I mean, your students are bound to be wealthy, aren't you? Well, we had 2,000 students in the field last year. Virtually none of them paid for it because they can't. And so what we do is we employ professional fundraisers to come and talk to you guys about how other students have done it. And what we're looking to do is probably send someone next Tuesday, because Monday's a holiday, isn't it, here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so next Tuesday, are you in work next Tuesday?
Yes.
Could we do something at Tuesday lunchtime, you think?
Probably. It's a matter of finding a room.
Sorry?
It's just a matter of getting a room.
Okay, let's find out first if people can do Tuesday. If we said Tuesday 12 o'clock, who could not make it if they were interested in coming? Okay, and if we said Tuesday at 1 o'clock, who could not make it? If we said Tuesday 12 till 2, who couldn't make it? Oh, thank you. What about earlier? What are you guys doing? Sorry? Class. How long is your class?
It's 1:15 till 1:15.
Till 1:15. Okay, so if we said, let's say 1:15 on Tuesday, who couldn't do that? What happens if we said 5 o'clock on Tuesday? You're still working at 5 o'clock? Really?
They're not rich, they work.
Oh, you work. Okay, so who can make Tuesday at 4 o'clock? All right. Let's say they're going to come, I'm going to say I think the least was Tuesday at 4. So they're there 4 till 5. Okay? If you can't make it, don't worry, just email the people in the office and I'll talk to you individually. But it would be good if you can come and listen to them, because 70% of the students who come with us end up getting the money they need to be able to come out. It only works because we've got really good professional fundraisers to actually go out and do this with you. Because the money shouldn't put you off. You should be able to do that. That covers everything on your site, except for getting there and back again. And I just want to finish with this. What happens to the students who go out with it? And I realised I actually put a picture of a lion there looking at it. So, we've never had anyone killed or eaten or permanently damaged in all the years we've been operating. But the reason I put it up there is because we now have a master's field placement. So you can spend, if you've been out with us and you're good in the field, and that's what we're looking for, because not everyone can go and live in a remote desert island. If you're good in the field and you want to go on to do a master's, you can go out and spend 6 months at one of our sites from January through to June. And we have 3 sites that are open. One is the Marine Research Station in Indonesia. One is an upland bush site in South Africa, and another one's the Amazon where you're working on research things. That's 6 months. It costs you £7,200, which is about $10,000, but that includes all your food, your accommodation, your guide, your diving, the safety costs, the lot, everything's included. And if you stayed in Boston for 6 months, you'd spend a good chunk of that $10,000 just on living expenses and heating and food and transport. And it's all, instead, you're actually going to live in a reserve on a remote desert island. And you have to register somewhere for your masters, and you can do that anywhere. You can use arbitrage then to get the best deal for your master's course, and then come out to one of those sites. If you're really good at that, then potentially we're interested in looking at you as a potential PhD candidate. As I say, we co-fund 40 already, and we're adding a few each year. 7 or 8 each year are being added to that list. So we're looking for the best master's students candidates out of that to go on and study PhDs. And then finally, staff positions. We have people come back and work with us. And so we have 57 full-time staff now around the world, and we add more and more each year because this program keeps on growing. We're looking for people who want to split their time between living here in the US and going out to the field and doing this sort of work. So if you don't mind an existential existence where you spend most of your life moving around, going to remote sites and then talking to different universities and schools, then it's a potentially interesting prospect for you. Okay, I think I'm going to finish there. I put a bit of, when I did that slide, I was just doing it in a hurry. This is feedback from this year, and I realised that all of those students are actually British. I should have put Americans on, because whilst the trouble is, our impression of you guys, I suppose British impression of you guys, goes up and down enormously. By the time we finish speaking to your mums, just before you go in the field, the American mums are a lot more protective of their offspring than British mothers are. And so we get fed up with talking to mothers and saying, you're not going to be killed or headhunted or eaten by a lion. You know, they're going to be fine. Our impression of you guys has gone down a lot. When you're in the field, you are the best students that we have. You're the most enthusiastic, and it recovers all of our enthusiasm for working in America, because the best quotes we have actually come from American students, because they've had a fantastic time out there in the field. So I'll leave it there and open it to questions.
Some of the cases you do manage with a lot of locals. Have you ever encountered like hostile locals?
No, not really, because the way we work is we set up companies in the local communities. And so we work with local guys for the first few years, and then we get the best ones to form a company, and then we give them the money, and they manage the whole thing. So at the Honduras Cloud Forest, for example, we put $500 million a year into really remote mountain communities. So we're a big income source to them. And so I hope it's not just the money. I hope they like us as well, but really we don't come across that sort of opposition simply because we are putting a lot of money into those communities. Right. No? Yep. What else?
What kind of safety precautions do you have in place for people that are coming in?
Depends on the site. The way it works is we have doctors at each of the sites. We have massive risk assessments. And normally, if I'm talking about a particular site, I won't go through the risk assessments with you because they are the most boring documents ever written, and you'll never read them. And so what we do is we ask you to start telling us what you think is going to be dangerous to that site, and we do that at each of the sites when you arrive. We have safety auditors at each of the sites, which makes a huge difference. And we also agree medical and evacuation insurance cover for you before you go. So we buy $1.5 million worth of medical evacuation insurance cover. And the reason we do that is many years ago when we started, we used to get people to get their own medical insurance. And I don't know if you've ever had to use medical insurance when you've been overseas, but often the guys that they get to do it are a complete bunch of cowboys. So we had an example in Honduras many years ago where a girl had a fit. She was an epileptic, no problem, because we had a doctor at the site, we stabilised her, put her straight into the hospital, and she was back on the project in 2 or 3 days. But at the same time, we rang her insurance company and said, look, we might have to evacuate her. And we rang some number in Italy, and they said, don't worry, don't panic, we'll get back to you. 7 o'clock at night we rang. 7 o'clock the following morning, they rang to ask where Honduras was. And that is the level, quite often, of the insurance cover that you have. And so we said, forget that, we'll buy our insurance, but we send our medical evacuation reports through to the insurance company in advance so they can agree the evacuation routes, the doctors, the helicopters, everything that's needed. In Britain, we have a thing called British Standard 8848, which is to do with expedition planning and safety. We meet that. We have to have a licence of the UK government called Learning Outside the Classroom. We have that. Neither of them, in my view, are very strict because they don't require you to have safety auditors on site. And the final statistic is just look at our website. For every country, we publish the accidents and illnesses that happen on site. And we put them in different categories. You can compare it to other activities. So going on an expedition is safer than going on a sports tour. It's massively safe for going on skiing. But it's still potentially dangerous, which is why we have those doctors there, we have safety staff there. I wouldn't worry about too much about safety. Fine then. Yeah.
You mentioned something about you are going to the medical field. Is it only do there specific states where they are?
Yes, they're all in Honduras.
Only in Honduras.
Only in Honduras. That's it. So you do 3 weeks in the cloud forest and 1 week on the reefs. It's 4 weeks, of which 1 week of that is an expedition medical course. So if you're interested in that, on your form you should have written said expedition medicine. So if on your forms, please, you could fill in those with your name and your email and your telephone and your best handwriting, please. Where it says degree, it means what you're majoring in. Sorry, it's wrong terminology for here. And what year are you going to be qualifying, so I know whether you're eligible to do an independent research project or not. And then if you can identify on the form what it is you're interested in. If you're going for experience, which of the countries are of most interest to you? Don't tick too many, please, because it takes hours to write to you. And if you're interested in an independent research project, just tick the topic areas of interest to you, and I'll send you more information. Oh, sorry.
Can I get a form?
Yes, 2 weeks ago, yeah. But it's not for a form.
Thank you.
Hey, you got my permission to print
The great. You don't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
Hello. I already got you.
No, you don't want me. That's why you're arrested.
Yeah, like yeah, we have to read it.